Hello, good evening. I'm Roger Johnson. Welcome to Wednesday's North West Tonight. Our top story. An apology from the church for an abuse survivor who waited 30 years. He tells us the authorities should always say sorry. And now he wants changes to make apologies part of the legal process. Also tonight.
I'm in Cumbria's Lune Gorge, where farmers and business owners claim they could be ruined by 4 years of roadworks on the M6.
Meeting the meatball, Liverpool's cage-fighting queen, Molly McCann, on getting back into the ring as a boxer.
How lucky am I that I get to finish on a career that I want to do for me, to do what I want to do.
Celebrating the Viking warrior who brought more than just fire and the sword to the Isle of Man.
And most places have seen a little bit more sunshine today, but what's in store as we head towards the end of the week and the weekend? Join me later in the programme to find out.
A man who was repeatedly abused by a priest while he was at school in Manchester in the 1990s has finally received an apology, but only after BBC North West Tonight got involved. He took the church and the council to court, and although he was paid compensation, what he really wanted was for them to say sorry. Well, after waiting 30 years, he now wants the law changed so that all victims get an apology, as Phil McCann reports.
Frankie was taken out of the safety of his primary school classroom by a priest who raped him and sexually abused him. It happened repeatedly over 2 years. And at least until we got involved, no one said sorry.
It's affected my mental health my whole life, and it's taken me a long time to repair that. He is the representation of God on earth, and also he said you would go to hell if you told anyone about what happened.
Frankie isn't his real name. He's entitled to be anonymous. But his abuse happened at this Catholic primary school in Stretford, which shares its grounds with the Catholic church next door.
The priest would regularly come into the classroom and forcibly remove me, and obviously the teachers wouldn't mind.
The priest got away with it. He died 14 years ago. When Frankie later reported Father Aidan O'Reilly to the police, they concluded he'd likely have been charged if he was still alive. But 3 years ago, Frankie took both the Diocese of Salford and Trafford Council to court. They paid him an out-of-court settlement, but there was no apology.
They treated me like a disgruntled employee who had a health and safety claim, is how I would describe it. They didn't treat me like I was a child in their care. And I think they cared more about their insurers than me as a child who was abused at their school and their church.
Frankie gave evidence about his abuse to the government's independent inquiry into child sexual abuse, which recommended 3 years ago, amongst many other things, that the law should change so institutions can apologise to abuse victims without fearing it'll leave them open to more compensation claims.
An apology either from the abuser themselves or from an organisation under whose watch the abuse took place is actually the most important thing to them. Sorry is such a simple word, but actually for survivors of child abuse, it really is often a turning point in their recovery.
An apology is more important because it's recognition from them that things have gone wrong, and it can help me heal and progress with my life.
The government told us legislation will be brought forward to make clear apologies are not a legal risk. But when North West Tonight asked the Diocese of Salford to comment, it responded with a sincere and unreserved apology for Frankie's abuse and his subsequent pain and trauma. They said they now have enhanced safeguarding policies that are regularly reviewed, which aim to prevent any possible recurrence of what happened. We continue, they say, to place the protection of the young and the vulnerable at the heart of what we do.
What is disappointing, however, is that this apology was requested from the diocese many years ago, and it's only as a result of media intervention that an apology is now being offered.
Trafford Council, though, which was responsible for the school, did not apologise. It told us it can't comment on individual cases, but said, "We are committed to providing advice, support and guidance to schools on all areas of safeguarding and work with them to put all appropriate measures in place to ensure children are kept safe."
I think an apology shows great empathy and connection, rather than just being treated like a legal claimant.
Phil McCann, BBC North West Tonight.
The decision to investigate a Greater Manchester police officer who was accused of leaking CCTV footage of a fight between police and two men at Manchester Airport has been criticised by the editor of the newspaper which received it. The Manchester Evening News says that publishing footage of the officers being attacked was in the public interest after another video was widely shared on social media last July. The Independent Office for Police Conduct says an officer is being investigated on suspicion of sharing a video relating to an active police investigation without any legitimate policing purpose.
I think this decision is ill-judged and not in the public interest. I'm particularly worried about the impact on other people who might want to come forward with information to journalists. People often do this at considerable personal and professional risk, but they do it because they want something in the public domain and they think by putting it there, things will change or things will get better.
Two more men have been charged with the murder of a teenager who was stabbed to death in Bury last weekend. Mohammed Afzal, who was 19, was attacked near a car park on Market Street on Friday. 3 men have now been charged with his murder. Blackpool's Adult Social Care Service has been rated inadequate by the Care Quality Commission. Inspectors found weaknesses in dealing with mental health and substance abuse. The council says that it has already started to make improvements. Now, farmers and businesses in central Cumbria say that they face huge disruption, financial losses and even potential ruin because of a motorway improvement project which will take 4 years to complete. A major junction and 8 bridges will be closed, but National Highways says that there is no alternative, as Phil Cunliffe reports.
It's a familiar view to millions of drivers. Cumbria's Lune Gorge, where river, motorway and West Coast Rail intertwine. But it's a landscape soon to be swamped by roadworks. Bridges carrying the M6 need urgent repair. It'll mean detours, diversions and the partial closure of Junction 38. And that's bad news for these nearby services. The truck stop in T-Bay is a busy business, where more than 100 lorry drivers stay overnight.
If one side of the junction's shut and the other's open, they've sort of got to travel a long way to go up to junction 39 and come back down, and when it's the other side, a long way down to junction 37 and come back up. That's going to be difficult because they're under time restraints. If there's a big crash on the M6, where the truck stop that they come to and they're relocated to, and we've had over 200 trucks parked in here at one time.
The Highways Agency says it's keeping those rural communities like Orton, T-Bay and Kirby Stephen updated on its plans to minimise disruption. But Adele says people are worried about financial hardship and they need more assurances.
Listen to the people. Listen to what it's going to do to our village. 4 years of a child having to reroute to school. 4 years of truck drivers not being able to come to somewhere where they're valued and cared for.
The Lune Gorge is north of Kendal and south of Penrith. The Highways Agency is to repair 8 concrete structures. That's 7 bridges and 1 overhead bridge. Well, behind me is one of the 8 bridges. This is Castle Howe, and over my left shoulder you can see evidence of where some of the concrete has started to become worn. Now, in a statement, Highways Agency told us that these structures are nearing the end of their lifespan and that the work is essential to keep drivers safe and to maintain the structures for the future. Now, no one round here is disputing that. What they are upset about, however, is the timescale. 4 years of disruption is a long time. The area is home to many farmers, like Mark, who has 300 cows. He says detours and delays will cost him money.
There's a wagon comes in here every day, so that wagon will have extra costs applied to it because it'll have a detour on it. And that cost initially will come to me.
How much?
Roughly £100 an hour we're working on.
So over a long period of time, that's going to cost you
£200 a day for a start off, isn't it?
The Highways Agency is due to start preparation work soon, with the main bulk of the roadworks earmarked for 2027. Phil Cunliffe, BBC North West Tonight, T-Bay in Cumbria.
Right, here are some of the other stories that people are reading this evening from BBC News. And Lancashire Police received a £500,000 windfall after cryptocurrency it seized went up in value. The money came originally from cash stolen in a major fraud case. Everton have become the first Premier League football club to sign up to the Living Wage Foundation's pension scheme. It means that backroom staff and matchday stewards will be able to save for their retirement. And 2 men have been arrested after hundreds of thousands of illicit prescription pills were seized from an industrial unit at Cheetham Hill in Manchester. You can find out more, as always, bbc.co.uk/local news, or, as I always say, have a look on the BBC News app. Now, staff at household waste recycling centres say that they are facing abuse, threats and even physical violence from members of the public. The company which runs the centres in Greater Manchester says that it has seen a big rise in incidents over the past year, as Kaylee Watterson has been finding out today.
Just some of the abuse faced by recycling centre workers in Greater Manchester. And for the staff at these sites, they're becoming more regular incidents.
Most weeks you would see an incident of some verbal abuse or aggression. I've had threats of violence. Members of the public suggest that they're going to come back and wait for us at the end of the day, smash my face in.
It varies from verbal abuse to threats of violence to actually we've had violence. We've had someone actually hit on site and had the jaw broke.
And how does that make you feel?
It's not good, really. It's not something that you come to work to have that kind of environment.
Most people who visit the recycling centres follow the rules and treat workers with respect. But there's that small minority who don't.
You could have 1,000 people coming on site, 999 are great. They'll follow requests to recycle, but it's that one person, but that's the one person that you're going to remember for the rest of that day.
Around 400,000 people a year visit the 20 household waste recycling sites here in Greater Manchester. In Greater Manchester last year there were 64 reported cases of abuse to staff. In Suez say there's been a 42% rise in incidents across the country. The company says it's brought in various measures to protect staff, including training and body-worn cameras. And safety of both staff and the public is at the heart of it.
We're here to do a job. There's a safety element to everything. No one's going to ask to be abused, whether you're a physician, whether you're a doctor, whether you're working on a recycling centre or you're a builder. Everyone should have respect for one another ultimately in their profession.
Kaylee Watson, BBC North West Tonight, Stockport.
Your views, as always, are welcome. Many of us got experience of going to household waste recycling centres. nwt@bbc.co.uk is our email address if you'd like to get in touch. Now, a couple of quick bits of sport for you. The Prime Minister says that he's very concerned about the plight of Morecambe Football Club. It's a story we've been following over the past couple of weeks. And Keir Starmer has urged everyone involved with the club to, quote-unquote, do the right thing. It's on the brink of closure, as you'll know, after being suspended by the National League. The staff haven't been paid and the current owner has stalled its sale several times. Well, the Wigan MP and Culture Secretary, Lisa Nandy, has also intervened today to try to push through a deal, as Jamie Mountain reports.
Queuing for the new shirt they might never get to wear. Morecambe fans display a sliver of hope amid the financial crisis threatening their club's very existence.
It's so out of everybody's control, and obviously everyone's here because they want to do something about it, but there's nothing we can do, is there?
You know, we're holding on for that last breath. I don't know. I have my fingers crossed, but, you know, if being realistic, I think we're done.
Current owner Jason Whittingham has announced multiple imminent deals to sell the Shrimps, each a false dawn. He's repeatedly refused to speak to the BBC. Last week, the Culture Secretary wrote an open letter to Mr Whittingham urging him to sell. Today, she called on him again to do the right thing.
They need to recognise that they have a responsibility to be the custodians of a club and hand it on in good shape to the next generation. And that's why I wrote the open letter to Morecambe and have been working very closely with local MPs to try to support the fans and to bring a resolution to what has become a crisis.
Ms Nandy believes the new Football Governance Act, passed into law just over 2 weeks ago, could prevent this situation in the future.
The legislation that we've just passed through Parliament sets out a strengthened owners and directors test, and it does also allow the regulator, in very extreme cases where the club would otherwise be lost, and I think Morecambe does look like one of these cases, it would allow the regulator to be able to force the owners to sell rather than the club collapsing.
For now, Morecambe remains suspended from the National League. The hopes of these committed fans shrinking ever smaller. Jamie Moughton, BBC North West Today.
We'll continue to follow developments at Morecambe, of course. There's a bit of transfer activity, of course, because the EFL season's underway. The Championship starts this weekend. League 1 and 2 started last weekend, and the Premier League just 10 days away now. Some football transfer updates today. Everton have completed the signing of midfielder Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall from Chelsea. The fee's about £28 million. The 26-year-old has signed a 5-year contract. To update on Manchester United and their hunt for the RB Leipzig striker Xisco at this stage either. In cricket, the Manchester Originals women have lost their first game in this year's 100 tournament. They're playing at Old Trafford. The home side made 95 for 8 from their 100 balls. 40 not out from Seren Smale, the only bright spot. The Southern Brave reached their victory target reasonably comfortably, 96 with 11 balls remaining. The Originals men are batting first in their game against Southern Brave. They're 44 for 1 after 24 balls, so they've got 76 more balls in their innings at Old Trafford. We're going to talk about Molly Meatball McCann now. She used to be one of the most feared fighters in mixed martial arts and cage fighting. The Liverpudlian also became a huge social media star as well. You may well have heard of her. Over 500,000 followers she had. Well, Molly retired earlier this year, but I guess she must be missing it because she's now announced that she's stepping back into the ring, but not in MMA anymore, rather as a boxer. Lindsay Prosser, I don't think she got in the ring with her, but she's been to see her today.
Beats her down.
Determined, dedicated and a favourite with fans, Molly McCann, whose nickname is Meatball, has enjoyed a successful career in mixed martial arts.
Oh, there's that spinning elbow!
But boxing has always been Molly's first love.
I won the national championships and my weight category didn't get added to the Olympic Games, so there was no... The highest level for me wouldn't be an Olympic medal, so I thought, what else can I do?
Mean Molly McCann tonight.
Mixed martial arts has brought Molly considerable success, and she's a cage warrior champion. But fighting has had an impact on her body.
It's 4 Olympic disciplines in one, so you imagine how much you have to commit your life to being Olympic athlete for 1 Olympic discipline. Imagine doing that for 4. The negative side of it is how heavy it is on the body over long periods of time, and there wasn't a lot of women doing it when I was, so I was constantly training with people who was a little bit heavier than me, and it just took its toll on my body in the end.
With over 500,000 followers on social media, Molly is able to give people an insight into the life of an elite athlete.
I show hard work, I show what I get up to, and if I'm feeling down and I'm not having a good time, I'll let you know too. I think it's really about being transparent and honest about what life really is and not glamour. What we do isn't glamorous, but it's real, and I think it's important.
Returning to the sport she loves so much feels like a privilege to Molly.
I'm boxing for myself. I used to do MMA because I was like, I want to make the city proud, I want to make my family proud, and I've done all that now. It was like knocking doors down so girls could go to gyms, and that legacy's in place there, and now I get to, how lucky am I that I get to finish on a career that I want to do for me, to do what I want to do.
Molly's first fight is next month, and she hopes to win a world title within 8 fights. Lindsay Prosser at BBC North West Tonight, Liverpool.
She doesn't hang around, does she? Molly Meatball, apparently the nickname became because she used to put meatballs in sandwiches on a well-known high street sandwich shop. So there you go. Now, around 10 o'clock tomorrow night, under cover of darkness, a woman will silently slip into the water on Windermere in the Lake District, and she'll start swimming. And if all goes to plan, she won't stop until sometime on Saturday. By then, she will have swum its 10.5 miles length 6 times. No one's ever done more than 4 before, and that will make her one of just a handful of people to have swum 100 kilometres without stopping. Her name is Sam Farrow. She's a mum of 2 from Atherton, near Wigan.
I think it's really interesting pushing the boundaries of endurance. I think recently we've had a lot of amazing endurance feats, whether it's swimming or running or hiking. It's amazing what the human body and the mind can do. So I just want to find out what we're capable of.
And that's a really interesting point that you make. How much of this is physical and how much of what you're going to face over the next 2 or 3 days is going to be mental?
I think a lot of it's going to be the mental challenge. It'll be really interesting, the fact that it's broken down into 6 lengths rather than sort of a continuous length, say like when I did Geneva last year. I'll know exactly where I am. I'll know exactly how far I've got left. I mean, obviously it's going to physically hurt as well. But if you can keep that mental chatter sort of positive and keep the brain focused, I think you can push a lot further than you think you can.
And that 100k will put you into a very exclusive club, won't it? I mean, do you know exactly how many people there are in the world that have swum without stopping more than 100 kilometres?
There's not very many. It's split into different categories. So if you do it in the sea, obviously some of them have got tidal and currents assistance for that 100k. Some of them, if they're done in freshwater or somewhere that there's not really much tide. So it depends on the categories they're in. But as far as I know, I think there's only maybe 12, if that, people in the world that have ever got over that 100k mark.
And can I ask you one slightly unpleasant question for people who might be eating their tea watching this? You'll know what I'm going to ask. We report on Windermere a lot on this programme, or we have done. Are you concerned about the cleanliness of the water? I
am. We've previously done a relay where we did 13 lengths of Windermere. So me and 3 teammates, we spent 77 hours going up and down Windermere. We did swim through the sewage discharge every night at the exact same spot where they do put it in. I've never got ill from swimming in there personally, but you know, I'm going to spend an awful long time with my face in there in the next couple of days. So we'll see, won't we?
Well, I suspect you will have an almighty reception if you do it. I wish you all the best. Sam, thank you for talking to us, and the very, very best of luck.
Thanks, Roger.
Absolutely superb effort by Sam. Ambleside, she'll finish around lunchtime on Saturday, all being well if all goes according to plan. We've got some pretty tough people in the programme tonight, haven't we? We've just heard from Sam, we've had Molly McCann as well, and now we're talking about the Vikings. They don't have the best of reputations, though, do they, for the way they made their way across the lands that they conquered. But in the former Viking kingdom of Isle of Man, they brought something else, the beginnings of democracy. And now, on the Isle of Man, they're planning to commemorate that moment with a huge statue of the Norse warrior King Orry. It'll be put up close to Tynwald Hill, of course, the home of the island's first parliament, as Alex Blake explains.
It might look like we've gone back in time, but this in fact is the 21st century, where the Isle of Man still celebrates its 1,000-year-old history. Reenactments every Tynwald Day are just one of the ways the Vikings are honoured as the founders of the island's ancient parliament.
While parliamentary buildings are now based in the island's capital in Douglas, members of the political branches still come together in St John's each year for an annual open-air sitting on Tynwald Hill, the site of early Viking assemblies.
And some are hoping to introduce a permanent reminder of the Vikings to this ancient ground, and one man in particular.
What we know about Godfrey Groven is what's written in the Chronicles of Man, and that is I guess the single most important written document about the earliest part of our history here on the Isle of Man, the Battle of Sky Hill, which of course that's when he conquered the Isle of Man, but that's where they stayed as well, and the Viking dynasty that lasted best part of 300 years established the Parliament and the democracy as we know it today.
The Battle of Sky Hill will have been fought on this very land here. So, for all I know, Godred Crovan may have actually stood here in 1079 ordering his troops around. According to the chronicles, he was very devious because his Viking men hid in the trees overnight. And the Manx, during the battle, were driving the Vikings back towards the river, and at a signal, all the other Vikings came out of the trees and stabbed us in the back and won the battle. The reason I think it's important to have a Viking statue at St John's is, as you drive in there, it is an immediate reminder that it is a Viking site. as opposed to a Christian site or a Celtic site. It is the Vikings.
While planning for the statue has been approved, it is still open to appeals, so time will tell if we'll be seeing a large bronze tribute to our Viking ancestors. Alex Blake, BBC North West Tonight, St John's.
And don't be concerned, those pictures of the longboats were from a drama. I think they were not filmed today. They're not coming back. Right, let's have a look at the weather, shall we? Abby is here. How's it looking?
It's been quite nice today, hasn't it? It's been nice to see a little bit more sunshine, as captured beautifully by our weather watchers. Thank you to Polly for getting up at the crack of dawn and sending this photo in this morning. And then it's nice to see a city centre. We don't get city centre photos sent in very often at the weather watchers. So thank you to Monica for sending this photo in. If you do take a weather photo over the next few days and you would like to send it in to us here at North West Tonight, all the details on the screen behind me. You can send them directly to me on social media, on X, formerly Twitter, on Instagram, or you can sign up and become one of our very loyal BBC weather watchers. So the headline then for tomorrow, it is looking a little unsettled out there first thing. We're going to see some rain moving through overnight, so wet to start the day, but it will turn drier and brighter later. Now, we do have this battle between high and low pressure, I think, over the next few days. You can see the low pressure winning out, that weather front moving through tomorrow, a squeeze in the isobars, so staying quite breezy. But actually, as we move through to Friday and indeed the weekend, the high pressure looks to ridge ever so slightly up north, and that will settle our weather down. So a good deal of dry weather forecast from Friday. Overnight tonight, turning cloudy. We're going to see this band of showery rain moving through. It'll make its way in from the west. It will be quite heavy at times, but it will also stop our temperatures from dropping quite as low as they did last night. So a little bit milder out there first thing tomorrow morning. 10 or 11 degrees Celsius, I think, will be our overnight lows. But look how quickly that rain clears away. The cloud heading off with it as well, so brightening up as we head towards the middle part of the day, and the afternoon is looking largely dry. Perhaps a couple of isolated showers following on from that rain in the morning. And temperatures 20, maybe 21 degrees Celsius, still quite breezy though, so that the wind's probably taking the edge off those temperatures ever so slightly. But we will notice it turning a little bit warmer over the course of the weekend and into the start of next week. I think Sunday and Monday we could start to see the temperatures creep up to about 23 or 24 degrees, which is above average. The average for this time of year is closer to around 19 or 20 degrees Celsius, so slightly above average over the weekend and into next week. Friday at the moment is looking dry, slightly lighter winds, a little bit more sunshine. Temperatures 22, maybe 23 degrees, so responding in that sunshine and in the lighter winds, it should feel quite pleasant out and about on Friday. And then although the weekend is looking largely dry, I think Saturday could see a little bit more cloud around at times and maybe an isolated shower or two. Hit and miss though on Saturday, and fewer and further between on Sunday. Still the risk of one or two, but there will be a good deal of dry weather over the weekend, a little bit more sunshine, and our temperatures creeping up into next week too, Rog.
The return of summer.
Oh, at long last.
Yes, after Storm Floris earlier this week. And we were talking about the increase of the abuse of staff at household recycling centres earlier in the programme. Kevin has been in touch to commend the staff at the recycling centre at Bispam in Blackpool. He says they're always very welcoming.
Oh, good. It's nice to celebrate the niceness, isn't it?
Exactly. Thank you for watching. Have a great evening.
Good night.
Good night.